May peace prevail on earth. May peace be in our home and in our countries. May our missions be accomplished. We thank you, guardian deities and guardian spirits. As the fever of day calms towards twilight, may all that is strained in us come to ease. We pray for all those who suffered violence today. May an unexpected serenity surprise them. For those who have risked their lives each day for peace, may their hearts glimpse providence at the heart of history. May those who make riches from violence and war might hear in their dreams the cries of the lost, that we might see through our fear of each other a new vision to heal our fatal attraction to aggression, that those who enjoy the privilege of peace might not forget their tormented brothers and sisters, that the wolf might lie down with the lamb, that our swords be beaten into plowshares, and that no hurt or harm be done anywhere along the holy mountain. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. So, that first prayer is from the World Peace Prayer by a Japanese gentleman written in 1955, Masahisa Goi. And the second one is one that I have just been meditating on a lot lately by John O'Donoghue from a book titled Benedictus. And he writes a lot on Celtic spirituality, the blessing for peace. I'll share those with you on our little group. All right, so sleep and dreams. This is lesson 22 in Initiation into Spiritism. And it is from chapter 24, I think, of the book Initiation into Spiritism. So, let's look at sleep and dreams from a Spiritist perspective. There are several states in which an incarnated spirit, that's us in a body, can enjoy what is called partial emancipation from the body. In other words, we're free. We can get out of our body for a little bit of time. We're not confined to the physical body. And this is what we call out of body experiences or out of body states. In Spiritism, it was called emancipation of the body. And sleep is one of these times. I'm just going to let somebody in. Sleep is one of these times where we are, and also when we're in trance states, when we're in deep states of meditation, mediumism, somnambulism, hypnotherapy, and even when we're in states of ecstasy, then we can actually be liberated and freed from the physical body. But for the purpose of tonight, sleep is one of those states. In the book, in the Spirit's book, those of you who have it, or if you don't have it, no problem, you can download it online for free on the United States Spiritist Federation. They've got beautiful books, or you can scroll up in our WhatsApp group because it's there as well. In this chapter, what is it, chapter 8, I think, or 9, chapter 8, Emancipation of the Soul. There's a really long chapter here. And the spirits say in this chapter that the soul never is inactive. The soul is always busy, even when the physical body is inactive, even when the soul is resting, the body is resting. The spirit never sleeps. The spirit is always active. During sleep, the bonds that join the spirit to the body are loosened. And since the body doesn't need the spirit while sleeping, the spirit is able to travel through space and enters into a more direct relationship with other spirits. So sleep is partially freeing of the soul for the body. And when humans sleep, we actually are momentarily in the state which we would experience at the time of death. It's like a little mini death. And in yoga, we call that shavasana, the corpse pose, which we call it a preparation for death. We actually practice it as a little preparation for physical death. But every night we sleep, we go into these little deaths, and then we wake up every day. You know, even the doctors will say it's a medical miracle that we wake up every morning because our bodies take so much energy to come back to life. Sleep, as defined by Teresa Oliveira in her book Initiation to Spiritism, she says sleep is the physiological phenomenon by which the body comes to rest in order to recover physically. So the body needs sleep, the spirit doesn't need sleep. During the sleep, there is a suspension of the active life of the body, which makes it possible to loosen the fluidic ties that bind the spirit to the body. Remember, right at the beginning of this course, for those of you who attended those lectures, we learned that the spirit is connected to the body by a glue. Mischief. Sorry, camera flying, cat flying. Um, the soul is connected to the body by this glue that we call the perispirit, right? This, he's making this absolutely impossible for me to keep a straight face. Just hold on. Look at this. Look at this guy. He's literally taken over the whole shebang. Mischief, this is not very professional of us. Come, give me a second, everyone. Let's try and get this guy on his bed. Wow, that's one for the YouTube video. All right. So we've got the spirit connected to the body by this glue, this perispirit. And at night, this glue that connects the two is it comes a little bit more at ease, a little bit more free. And so the spirit is able to leave the body, but it stays connected to the body and doesn't cause the body to die, because when the soul leaves the body and the perispirit, the glue, goes with the soul, that's when the physical body will die. But during sleep, there is kind of this suspension of life that happens in the body. All right. And it's a very, very good state for the physical body to be in, because that's when we regenerate. So here's some little like images of the spirit or the astral, they call it astral projection. It has different names. Astral travel, with the spirit leaving the body and going on a little adventure. So if you look at somebody sleeping, they look dead, right? You try and talk to them, they're not responsive. That's because the intelligence, i.e., the soul, has left the body, it's out. But because the soul is connected by what they used to in the old days call the silver cord, and you can see it in this picture, the silver cord that connects the physical and the spiritual body. If you have to stir somebody for long enough, then that signal goes to the spirit, and the spirit is able to snap back into the body and wake up. I don't know if anybody here has ever had one of those wake ups where it felt like you were falling back into your body, like, and it's when the spirit lands too fast in the body. It's not a very like smooth landing. It's like when, an airplane hits the runway not very nicely. We won't mention any airlines. But When death happens, that is a complete disengagement of the fluidic bonds. Remember, fluidic, these are old spiritist terms that nowadays we would probably use the word energy. Okay, they didn't have the word energy then because that those books were being written at a time when the light bulb was still coming out. So they believed that there was this fluid, this vibrational fluid that filled the universe. They actually believed it was like an ocean of spirit. Now, energy is the word we probably respond to the best. So that cord creates a connection between the physical body and the spirit. That's the telephone line. And contrary to popular belief and radicalism, that cord cannot be cut or severed. All right, you can't. Nobody can sneak up on your body and cut the cord. The cord cannot do it because you are always protected by your guardians and your guides that will, when you sleep at night, you always have your guardians stepping in to protect the body. The only time that cord can be severed is at the time of death. But there used to be these old, like, scary stories saying you be careful of astral projection because if you cut the cord, you drift off, you never come back. Well, that won't happen. Um, it is important, by the way, I didn't put it in this lecture, but it is very important before we sleep at night to pray protection around our bodies and our homes. You can do that by visualizing light around your property. I use the Kundalini mantra, Ad Gurename, Jugad Gurename, Sat Gurename, Siddhi Gurudev Ename. And I do the first round around myself and our bed. So that's the protection in our room. And then I chant it again around our home. And then the third one around the property. And sometimes I fall asleep and I send these spirals of protection into the neighborhood and into the town, and I go out, out, out. But it's always important to pray for protection before you sleep. Um, there was that beautiful Christian prayer: as I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And should I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. That's a lovely one. Um, a nice pagan one that I grew up with is as I lay within my bed, pillow tucked beneath my head. Maiden, bring me joyful dreams. Mother, grant me sleep serene. Wisest crone, watch over me until the light of dawn I see. So, also a really nice one. But whatever you like to do, pray protection around you, especially if you're experiencing nightmares, especially if you feel vulnerable to psychic attack, because it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and we don't know what's out, permeating the atmosphere, traveling through the Wi-Fi, traveling through the ether around us. Since we've started turning the Wi-Fi off in our home at night when we go to bed, we've been sleeping so much better. So it's worth a try, worth a shot. And there's crystal grids and all sorts of nice things you can do. But prayer is always our most powerful tool. So once these fluidic ties are loosened between the physical body, the spirit can move away while we're sleeping. And what does it do during that time? There's a few things that can happen here. During the time when the spirit is free of the body, it can actually recover some of its spiritual faculties. So these include psychic abilities, clairvoyance, the ability to see the future, even to remember past lives. And the spirit is reminded that it is an immortal being that is not fixed to the physical body. It needs that. It needs that, because imagine if you have a little bird in a cage and it doesn't get out of that cage its whole life. eventually it will lose the ability to fly and it won't remember that it's a bird. But if you have the bird, it has the ability to go and it has the ability to come back, then it always remembers that it has the ability to fly. And so that our spirit needs that freedom. Like a dog taken off of the leash, maybe, just the ability to be free and to run. A little thought about why we don't remember past lives. This is an important thing. We're not meant to remember our entire history of our past lives. If we were, we would. But think about how difficult it is for most people just to navigate this life. All right, and all the memories and all the traumas and all the hurts and the stuff around our parents, or the bully at school or whatever it is. And imagine having to bring hundreds and hundreds or thousands of life memory recollections into one lifetime. And we'd have to deal with the guilt of what we did 3 incarnations ago while trying to live here. We don't have the capacity for it. One incarnation is enough to focus on. So, and also, Spiritism says that you are currently the best version of yourself that you've ever been. Because according to Spiritist philosophy, we're always evolving, we're always growing, we're always expanding. All right, so we never regress. We're always progressing forward. Um, I just want to close one tab because my video is lagging a bit. All right. So, as we said, sleep brings rest to the physical body, and then the spirit can enter into relations in the spirit world. By doing this, we can go to the places in spirit, in the spirit world, to obtain guidance, comfort, strength, counseling, spiritual repair and healing, things that are needed. We can actually meet with our guides, with our mentors, to check in on how we're doing in our life at the moment, to receive insights, answers, and solutions to deal with the challenges that we're experiencing. So it's very, very important for us to be able to do that. Now, we may not necessarily remember that consciously, and we'll get to that just now. We may not remember that consciously when we wake up in the morning, although we may wake up with a feeling. Sometimes you wake up and you've just got clarity on a certain situation. You just feel something about it. Or, lately, when I've been falling asleep at night, I just cannot stop thinking that I have to go see my grandmother. Like, it's just, I cannot fall asleep because it's pounding in my brain. And I feel that it's a message from my grandfather. So yesterday we booked tickets and we're going to go visit her next month. Because when we're in that twilight before we fall asleep, that's really where a lot of the messages come through that we are meant to remember. And people who struggle with sleep, there's many reasons for it. The one is that we're not giving our mind enough time to process during the day. So for those of us who practice meditation, meditation is the most important tool for good sleep. Why? Yogi Bhajan used to say meditation is nothing more glamorous than doing the dishes. We're washing the mind clean. We're washing the mind clear. So we're giving our brain, our mind, time to just go through all of that stuff. We observe it, we observe it, we observe it. It releases that psychic tension. Okay, meditation is not the only thing that does that. There are many ways that we can release that psychic tension, but we have to release it. There was a video I watched a few weeks ago by a Harvard professor. He said, human beings have forgotten how to be bored, and we need periods of boredom. Because in the old days, when you were in a queue at the bank, what do? You just have to stand there, right? You don't have your phone to distract you. So in that time, your mind is able to process, think about your day, problem solve. What should I say to this one? What should I do there? But we don't do that anymore. We reach for distraction. We just reach for distraction. And then we watch TV, and then we doing our courses, and then we're reading our books. So we're never just giving the mind time to do nothing. And our minds need that. So that's one of the reasons why people struggle to sleep properly, or their dreams are absolutely manic, because the mind is now using that time to do its problem solving, and it maybe has a backlog of stuff to get through. But there's a more spiritual level to this. Our guides, our ancestors might be trying to wake us up to talk to us. And they might not get that done well in the sleep state of dreams, but they do that when we're in that like half space, half awake. Have you ever had that where you're just in the middle and then a thought comes in and you can't fall asleep because it's like crashing inside of your head? That's important to listen to. So what I do is I say, okay, message received. Thank you. Got it. Now, may I please fall to sleep? So during that twilight state, when you're drifting off or when you're waking up, you're just in between. Um, Listen to the messages. You know, if Spirit says, phone that person, reach out to that client, that friend, go visit your grandmother, whatever it is, do it. Do it. It's important. So when we're leaving the body, we're actually going to do important things. And a lot of our spiritual growth is done while the physical body is sleeping. It's actually done in that time. So yeah, napping is great. Napping is like little spiritual growth sessions. Okay. In fact, sometimes when we feel exhausted, it's the spirit sending a signal to the body saying, I need to get out of here. I need to go check in with my spiritual mentors, with the guides. I need out. All right. So the realms that our spirit gets attracted to when we sleep, the realms we get attracted to depends on the level of where our spirits are at. People who are greedy, who are angry, vengeful, hateful people, they get attracted to astral planes, we could say, spiritual realms that vibrate where they are. And spirits or souls who are more evolved, more morally progressed, more benevolent, will go to higher spiritual environments, places of higher learning, higher education, and even be reunited with friends and loved ones. Now, this may come across in the dreams, but not necessarily all the time. The dreams are somewhere between the body and the spirit. So just because you're dreaming of something doesn't mean necessarily that your spirit is there. Okay, it could be a way of your mind processing some stuff, and there are ways to discern if it's a spiritual dream or a physiological dream. We'll look at those later. But regardless of if you dream or not, or you remember your dreams or not, every night your spirit is traveling back to spiritual dimension, wherever that is. Every night you are sitting with your guides, you are meeting with loved ones, or you are going to places of spiritual rest, or you're getting work done. You may even, if you are a more evolved soul, you might be traveling to other places in the world and helping in war zones or helping in places that need spiritual elevation. So there's a lot that we do when the physical body is sleeping. It's also a time when souls reunite, when they reconnect. Hmm. One of the benefits of the spiritual sleep is that it actually helps us to prepare for natural death. It helps us to prepare for the natural dying process so that it's not a shock to the soul. Every night, when the body falls asleep and the spirit lifts out of the body, it's a little rehearsal for when we die a natural death. Remember, a few months ago, we spoke about what happens with a rapid or traumatic death. It is very traumatic for the soul. But a natural death that happens over several days, weeks, or months actually creates more ease for the soul to leave the body, even though it's not necessarily easy for the loved ones, the physical loved ones, to go through that process. It's more gentle for the soul to gently fade out and phase out like that. People on the lower vibration of their spiritual journeying, because they are prisoners of selfish and materialistic interests, they are given free rein to their lower instincts. So they will go to places in their spirit where they can do lots of drugs in the astral and have lots of promiscuous sex, and they can kill and rape and murder. They can fulfill those fantasies in those places. And sometimes highly evolved souls will be called to those places in order to guide, in order to help. If you're having dreams whereby you're thinking, this, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be in this dark place. Why am I going there? You could be doing work at night. You could be the guide. You could be the spirit trying to help somebody out of that place. So just think of that. You're like a paramedic going in and helping out another soul. That's what's so interesting about Spiritism. Spiritism's it's actually telling us what the soul does. What does it get up to? All the other religions and the spiritual paths, they kind of just speak of the soul as this weird floating light. But Spiritism says the spirit wants to work. It has things that it needs to do and contribute. Um, and so that's another thing. We can actually visit people around the world, other souls, other spirits. Maybe a person, um, maybe they didn't have a good breakup with their ex, and in the physical, they wouldn't be able to have those conversations because it would just become a clash of the egos. But at night, their spirits can connect and process and work through that stuff. So, by the way, we can, when we fall asleep at night, set an intention and say, tonight, I would like to go and meet the spirit of so and so. Please, can my guides take me there? And I would like to sit with so and so, and maybe someone can assign a spiritual mediator to us and help us to process this particular fight that we're having in the spirit, in the astral, so that that fizzles down to the physical. I've had extreme success with that, all right, and helping people with that. But sometimes it can actually make the situation boil up even more, right? Why? Because now it needs to play out in the physical. It needs to play itself out. But but we can also ask our guides, if you are exhausted, say, please take me to the temples of rejuvenation when I sleep tonight. My spirit is tired. Please do repair on my spirit, on my soul. Or I'm stuck in this particular area of my life. Please take me somewhere where I can receive counseling. We can do that. It's quite amazing to think that we can do that. And I really invite you to try it. I was having very intense dreams for weeks and weeks and weeks. And eventually I said the one night, I said, please just take me tonight and for the rest of the week to somewhere blissfully dumb. I don't want to go to anywhere exciting or stimulating. I want to go to fluffy marshmallow land. Please just take me to a sweet little unicorn forest. I just need to rest. And I haven't gone back to those intense dreams since. So we can ask for that help. Can two people who know each other visit each other during sleep? Yes. And sometimes many other people that we've never even met in the physical realm, we are friends with in the spiritual realm. So you might even have a spirit friend in another country that you've never met in the physical world. And then one day you meet each other and you go, it's like we know each other. But your souls have been chatting for a long time. In fact, some of the best and closest relationships we have, the souls already start connecting before the physical meet. They already start chatting in the spiritual world. So that's really, really quite cool. Um, one, two. So we said earlier that there are two different types of dreams that we can look at. The one is the physiological dreams or psychophysical dreams, as Allan Kardec calls them. And this is purely dreams that are caused by the body. So it's the circulation, the digestion, the noises around us, or what we ate for supper that night can contribute to those dreams. And there can also be mental creations. It could be the subconscious mind just playing out a particular scenario. Sometimes your mind just needs to process things. Sometimes you need to shoot someone in your dream because you can't strangle them in real life. It's a psychic outlet. So people say, oh my gosh, I had this dream and I'm killing so and so and I feel so bad. No, it's just your psyche needs to play these things out. It helps us to process our anger, our frustrations. So don't feel bad if that goes on. Dreams are sometimes, sometimes the place where we can experience the quote unquote darker side of our psyche, the part of ourself that we don't feel safe to explore in our day-to-day lives. Now, so that was the psychophysical dreams. Then we have the spiritual dreams. And these dreams are a result of the experiences that the spirit has in the spiritual world, or you could call it the astral realm, while the body is asleep. So those dreams are a recollection of memories of what the spirit saw and felt and participated in. And sometimes we remember nothing of those dreams because the physical brain wasn't involved in it. The physical brain wasn't involved in that process. Our physical brain is far more able to remember the first category of dreams because the brain was involved in creating them. But the brain is not involved in spiritual dreams at all. So when the spirit returns to the body, the brain has no recollection of it. All that's left is the imprint, the essence of what the spirit experienced. So that's why you'll very seldomly have dreams and you can remember, oh, I was sitting with a council of elders or whatever, because your spirit was doing that, not your brain. But you come back with an intuitive sense of, I know what to do now, or I have an understanding of this particular issue. If the experience in the spiritual realm was strong enough, was impactful enough, then we may bring that recollection with. But often the memories will mix with our mind and cause a little bit of confusion. So sometimes our guides, or the good spirits as we can call them, they actually act upon us in a special way. And they wake us up at a particular moment so that we can remember that dream, remember what was happening at that moment. So if that happens, if you wake up in the middle of a dream, in the middle of something, that is usually something quite important to write down. Just write it down or even just record it on your phone and then go back to sleep. But if they didn't wake you up, that particular learning or that particular message might have gotten lost. And Spiritist teaching says that even if we don't remember everything, it's okay, because we still retain the intuitive insight. We still retain the essence of it. Our soul has the message, even if the mind doesn't, because they're separate things. So a question says, why don't we always remember our dreams? During what we call, this was a message from the spirits. The spirits say, during what you call sleep, you only experience the repose of the body because the spirit is always in motion. During sleep, it recovers a little of its freedom and communicates with those who are dear to it, either in this world or in other worlds. But since the body is composed of heavy and dense matter, it is difficult for it to retain the impressions received by the spirit because the soul did not receive them through the body's organs in the first place. So, there we go. During sleep, incarnated spirits, that's us, are always in touch with the spirit world every night, every single night. But sometimes dark spirits or impure beings can use that opening in our dreams to torment people, especially souls that are vulnerable to such things. This can include people who are on a lot of drugs or substances. They have a weaker aura. They are more susceptible. People with depression, people who are not in a very strong space where their energy is strong, they've got good protection around them. They need additional protection when they sleep at night. By the way, there's this massive craze of people taking cannabis to sleep, but they suffer in the long run. because cannabis prevents us from dropping into the deepest part of the REM cycle. It actually holds us at like the dream cycle. But below the dream cycle, theta, there is delta. And delta is required 3 to 4 times per night, the deep sleep without dreams, in order for the true psychological reset to happen that we need. And cannabis prevents that depth. So people, and I've this is empirical. I've seen it with my clients. I've seen it with my patients over and over and over again. People who are taking cannabis for a long period of time to help them sleep, they end up struggling to sleep or to have deep sleep. The sleep is very, very scattered, and yeah. So it's empirical. You can see, try it for yourself, or speak to people. But if someone says to you, I'm on cannabis and I'm really struggling to sleep, there it is. That's the answer. They mustn't take more. They must take less. Okay, it doesn't work for everybody the same way. All right. So just the fact that we spend a third of our lives in sleep tells us how important sleep is for us. On the physical level, our body is removing toxins, it's processing, it's healing from the day, it's renewing cells, and it's also, if our body's in a good environment inside, it's restoring alkalinity, which is why we shouldn't eat a lot of food before bed, because that produces more acid. So we want to be in an alkaline state. You can always take half a teaspoon of bicarb before bed to help with that alkalinity. And then our dreams are good for psychological balance and for spiritual balance as well. So, very, very important. We've spoken about that. Um, so, what is a good way to prepare for good sleep? Physically, light meals before bed, or preferably no food at least 2 hours before bed. Good personal hygiene. Okay, at least if you don't shower or bath before bed, wash your hands, feet, and face. Okay, that helps to get the remnant energy of the day off of us. And then spend some time in silence or quiet, at least 2 hours before bed. Mentally, we don't want anything distressing before bed. No distressing conversations, movies, even too much intense reading. Okay, read fairy tales, listen to soft, kind music. I'm a big one for fairy tales. I listen to a lot of light audio books when I'm falling asleep. Or, that's that because we set the tone for our night by what we do just before we fall asleep. So have those heavy conversations in the day and read your heavy books and content during the day. Spiritually, the one of the best things to do is uplifting prayers, meditations, and forgiveness practices. Just like if someone hurt you that day, if someone did something bad to you, let them go. Forgiveness is not necessarily even about the other person. It's about the hold that they have over us. So bless them, release them, forgive them, and let them go. We don't want to carry that karma. We don't need to carry that heaviness. And every day, every night is an opportunity to clear that out. Sometimes if we go to bed with that baggage, it sits with our dreams and things like that. Um, I won't go too much into this, but basically the Spiritist books say don't get too overwhelmed with dream interpretation. Don't get too overwhelmed with it because we're trying to analyze with our rational mind a language that is not of the rational mind. The spiritual language is not the analytical language. So now we sit with dream books and we try and say, what does this mean? But the spiritual language has its own thing. Rather sit with the feeling around it. Rather sit with the essence of the how did I feel after this dream? Did I feel good? Did I feel sticky? Did I feel scared? And sit with that. But even in the Spiritist book, they say don't over analyze your dreams. Let them be what they are. Let them just be what they are. If we're getting lots of repeated dreams that are very disturbing, then pray for protection and ask. And I've had that where I couldn't make a breakthrough in my dreams. They were so repetitive. And eventually I said to my guides, you need to help me. You need to explain. You need to intervene. Or you need to help me with a breakthrough here because I can't do this anymore by myself, clearly. And then they stopped. Now, I can't remember why. I can't remember what they did, but they stopped. So something happened. So remember, we can always reach out for spiritual guidance to help us in that state. All right. So that is that for that lecture. So I raced at the end because I didn't want to use up all your time. But was that interesting and helpful a little bit? Cool. Yeah, I really, really, really invite you all to use your that time before bed, maybe over the next few days, to just say one of those statements. Tonight, please take me to the temples of regeneration, or take me to the places of healing. Don't worry about the names. Just your guides will know what you're referring to. Or take me somewhere in the spirit world where I can just have some joy. Or take me to a place in the spirit world where I don't have to feel sick or feel pain. Or please reconnect me with my loved one tonight. Can we go and have some beautiful time together? Whether your brain remembers that or not doesn't matter. Your soul will come back refreshed and replenished. So, thank you all for your time tonight and for your love and your attention. And I'll share those prayers on our group that I started the session with earlier. And may all of our guides and spiritual mentors, and the ones particularly who look after us and our group, and all those who were not able to be here in person tonight, and all those who will watch this lecture later, continue to be blessed, free of harm and mental and physical suffering. And may we all remember that we have a responsibility to contribute to the collective peace. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sleep tight. Bye bye.